want to break down today a simple formula that you can follow to build some good habits that will set you on the path to most effectively reaching your individual goals and staying there. Because there's a lot of methods out there. I'm thinking of particularly in the diet space where it's a short-term measure, and I've got this down here, a short-term radical action that's meant to fast track you to some kind of goal, but then there's no sustainability or long-term lifestyle behaviors built out of that. And that's why a lot of times people make a lot of progress and then completely stall or end up right back where they were. Okay, so here's a simple outline. I'm going to walk you through it. Number one, you need to know what your big goal is. So set that, figure it out, because you need a direction. You need the North Star to be following so that you don't lose track and start working on things that aren't productive. Okay, so this is step number one. Do this all on its own. Okay, if you want to follow along in this video, just pause now and really think about this and be specific. Okay, next, you could go right to what do you need to do to achieve this goal, but we're not going to go there. Okay, I'm going to show you a much better way that we can do this. So scratch what do you need to do. Who do you need to be the type of person that would achieve this goal or that would live that goal, right? So what habits would you have to be that person? Okay, and this is where we're going with this. We need to break down the type of person that would just live this goal so that you can actually embody it and it's not a state that you are struggling to stay present in, okay? Then what's one simple action that you can take that will help you build the habits from up here? Okay, I really want you to do this one step at a time, so pause and follow along if you need to. What's one simple action that will help you build those habits? Okay, so up here, there might be a lot that you've mapped out, a lot of habits you feel like you would need to have. Maybe this is a big goal and that's great. I want you to pick one action that maybe this should be singular, but just one habit that we can start to build. The key here is the simple part, where it must be something that you can do every single day. If you set too complex of an action here, you might do it for a couple days and then you're not going to be able to sustain it, and then you're not building any habits, and you're not working on becoming this person, and therefore not making steps towards this goal, okay? So keep the big picture in mind here. You have to be able to do this every single day, and we're going to get to making adjustments, so hang tight there, okay? Next, decide how you're going to keep track of it. If you want to go kind of a tech route, there's a lot of habit tracking apps. You decide what method's going to be best for you. You could go the route of the app. You could get a calendar on the wall and just mark off the days. Use a notebook, whatever you want to do. I will say though, don't overthink this, because the powerful part of this is seeing the streak build up. Because once you're on 10 days in a row, you're not going to want to miss that 11th day, because that's going to break the chain, break the streak, right? So this is the key of watching that streak build up. So if you're thinking about all different methods of tracking these habits and you're switching apps or going from paper to digital, then you're not going to be able to see that whole chain as much as you would as if you just stuck to one thing. So pick an app, the simplest one you can find. On Android, I use something called Loop Habit Tracker. Okay, there's some really weird, crazy ones that involve like gamification where you upgrade your character as you develop or as you build those chains. And if that's something that you feel like will help you, go for it. But I really think it needs to be simple. Okay, so pick something, stick to it, done. Okay, just something that you can see that chain build on. Okay, and then adjusting over time, because one of two things will happen. Either you won't be able to stay consistent with this action. Okay, and that's fine. It's hard for us to dumb things down. It's really hard. So if you were a little bit too ambitious up here and you were not able to sustain that action every single day, then revisit the action. How can you make it simpler? Okay, I'm going to use some examples here in a minute. Or what will happen alternatively, if the habit is blatantly too easy, you've done it 2-3 weeks in a row, you haven't missed a day, it's clearly become a habit for you and there's no risk of you falling off at all. Now we can talk about moving on to the next action, okay? And this is where things start to build and get exciting. It just takes a little bit of patience. So, for example, maybe you are looking to eat better. Maybe you've got a big weight loss goal, okay? Something I start to do for people is, rather than taking food away, people love to jump into restriction with diet. But if someone's looking to lose weight, maybe we just look to add, or maybe the simple action is to just add 1 serving of vegetables to 1 meal every single day. So if you can have just your normal, whatever you eat throughout the day, but you can add maybe a small salad to the side of your lunch, or you can add some veggies to the sandwich that you normally eat. That would be a great first step for a lot of people, because we're not starving you, you're not going to suffer. And the reason I usually go that route is, if you're eating more of something like vegetables, you may very well just end up eating less of other things. If not, we're at least building that first habit of eating more greens, okay? If you think that habit of adding a serving of vegetables each day is unsustainable, if you can't keep up with it, then maybe we just adjust. So a lot of people underestimate this third step here and set something a little bit too ambitious. So if that happens to be too ambitious for you, then where can we adjust to make it more sustainable? So maybe it's a smaller serving of vegetables, maybe it's like carrots with dip, something that's a little bit more desirable, easier to fit in, maybe easier to just take with you if you're packing for work or something like that. If it becomes too easy, then maybe it goes up to 2 servings of vegetables, maybe 1 in 2 meals a day, or you could start to trade things off, where you're adding that same serving of vegetables, but now you're taking away maybe a small portion of carbohydrates. Okay, so don't jump ahead too fast. Minimum 2 weeks. Honestly, if you could do 3 or 4 before taking another step, you're gonna have that habit cemented, and this building the habits of becoming who you need to be will be much, much stronger and take you much, much further, okay? This is definitely a slow cooking process, not to be sped up. This does require patience, but like I said, if we are sticking too much to these short-term radical actions, we're not going to get very far. So are you willing to take the slow steps, to be patient for the sake of that long-term outcome, okay? Keep that North Star in mind, keep the goal in mind, and stick to these long-term lifestyle behaviors. Okay, I wish you the best of luck and get after it.